Hello, my name's Jasper, welcome back to Buckle Up, and welcome to this, the all-new Mini Aceman. So the Aceman doesn't have a predecessor in Mini's current lineup of products, but it sits between the hatch and the Countryman. And because it's styled as a crossover, you've got a lot of SUV type elements in this styling. So you've got a very bluff front to the car, which helps raise its appearance. Quite a flat bonnet, but very prominent haunches. Angular lights, which scream Countryman. And in this case, you've got some black plastic cladding down here, which again, makes it look a little bit larger and more strong. This is the exclusive trim, which means I've got this lovely brushed gold effect around my front grille. I've got the same brushed gold around the Mini badge, and then this is the SE driveline. So I've got a green S badge here. More about that later though. There's a bit of brush guard type styling down at the bottom, and then you've got a very blanked in front face, very efficient. I like these horizontal strikes in this little grille at the bottom, and overall, I think the styling at the front is quite good. It's like a baby Countryman. Here at the side of the Aceman, it's a little bit of familiarity. You've got chunky plastic cladding around your wheel arches, and that runs all the way along the bottom of the car. Again, visual lift makes it look a little bit more chunky and off-roady. Contrast mirror caps here, this lovely white paintwork, which matches the front half of your ombre two-tone roof. Very fancy. Up here you've got some gloss black roof bars for that utility element. You've got the same aerodynamic style of door handles that we've seen on the new hatch and Countryman. Really quite like these. Mini badge down here, and these honking massive 19-inch alloy wheels. Lovely diamond cut front, really premium looking design there. The car is quite a flat roof line all the way along. I've got a panoramic sunroof up here as well, and then at the back I've got a really strong prominent haunch of a shoulder because the glass house tapers in slightly as you go around to the back of the vehicle. Here on the other side, in this quarter panel, I have my charging flap, but we'll talk about the battery in a bit. Round at the back, firstly, you can see how the glass house pinches in, and that's where you get these broad, strong shoulders, quite SUV styled. Another bit that's like an SUV is you've got your chunky plastic cladding and nice gold brushed effect diffuser. It's not a diffuser though. You've got a very smooth aerodynamic boot lid with Aceman in script in, again, that brushed gold, and your S back here. Little rear wiper on your tinted glass, and you've got a lovely gloss black boot spoiler that juts out over that screen. Nice tidy back end, pixelated light clusters. These are vaguely customizable, and you get your LED indicators and brake lights in them. And overall, I think the styling of the Aceman is pretty good. Let me know what you think in the comments. The boot capacity is pretty reasonable for this size of car. Back here you get 300 litres, and you've got an adjustable boot floor which drops down. Underneath this you've got a large subwoofer and space for your charging cable, and if you do drop that down you don't get a flat floor if you fold those rear seats down. They're a 60-40 folding split, and if you drop those you get 1005 litres of storage space back here. So for a car that's got a decent passenger compartment and quite a small footprint, I actually think this boot space is pretty reasonable. You've got a 12-volt socket, and then that's literally actually it in the boot. You don't even have hooks for carrier bags or any tie-down points. So a little bit sparse when it comes to features, but a reasonable boot space. Okay, so the back seats in a family vehicle, these do matter. And I'm pleased to report there's a decent amount of space back here. Now this car is not particularly long, it's just over 4 meters in length, but I do still have a good amount of knee room. This seat is in not quite my own driver's position, but a little bit further back. But I've still got loads of space for my knees. Headroom's decent enough as well. Now, this panoramic sunroof does eat into that space a little bit, but I've still got some space between my head and the ceiling. So somebody who's 6 feet tall or 180 centimeters might just fit back here. Little bit of a squeeze because the cabin isn't massive, but somebody who's 5'7.5" or 173 centimeters, I'm fine back here. There's loads of space for me. The materials you've got on the seats are absolutely lovely. This is a light coloured Veskin material, or essentially a vegan leather alternative. Really quite comfortable, some lovely contrast stitching in it, and it feels very cushy and very soft. The door cards have got a lovely woven knitted mesh material on them, and then you've got a bit of a harder, tougher plastic up around the top. Door handle to close it is quite chunky, and then your actual door handle to release sits lower down. Really nice gold brushed effect material that matches your trim on the outside of the car. I've got a seat back pocket on the back of this seat, which will fit something large like an iPad in it. There's a single cup holder in the centre console down here, as well as a pair of USB Type-C ports, but I don't have any cup holders in this centre seat here. I've got a tiny little door bin, but you aren't going to be getting a cup in that. So rear practicality could be better for a family vehicle. Headrests are nice and adjustable, and it's actually quite spacious back here for 2 people. If you wanted to fit a third person in, yes, you're going to be able to, and they've got a proper seat belt that you don't have to pull down from the roof, but they are going to be sitting on quite a slim raised seat in the centre, so they will struggle for room. It'll be a 4-seater this, 5 in an absolute pinch. For families though, you do have Isofix points behind flip-up plastic covers on both of these outer seats. They are nice and accessible, and these covers remain attached so they won't fall off and get lost. Overall, this back seat is pretty nice. I love this material, and it feels pretty spacious as long as there's only going to be 2 of you back here. So the front seats, I've got the same materials on the seats, although I do actually get some extra bits of grey piping with this interior, which is really quite nice. Same woven mesh on the door cards, and that blends into this mesh material on the dashboard. This knitted fabric is really quite nice, lovely bit of texture, and a nice change to see something unique on the car's interior. There's a lovely pattern in it that works its way across some of the dashboard, and then this interior is essentially very, very similar to what we've got on the new hatch and the new Countryman. So I've got a nice chunky steering wheel sitting in front of me that's got plenty of adjustability, as does this seat, all manual but very nice and easy to adjust. And then front and centre, I've got a large circular OLED infotainment system. This system is wonderful, really slick, really clear, very easy to use, and the graphics are beautiful. Probably one of the best and funkiest infotainment systems in a car nowadays. Climate control is built into the screen, but it's easy enough to use, and you can use the voice assistant to ask it to change things if you don't want to have to tap, tap, tap on the screen. Centre console, I've got a range of switches. I've got a physical volume control, my experience toggle, a key to start the car, and a drive gear selector, as well as a park button. Shortcuts for some of the infotainment systems and climate control sit underneath that, and then you've got some nice little elements within the cabin. All of the switch gear in here feels really sturdy and is quite nice to use. Practicality up front's pretty good too. You've got Isofix points on this front passenger seat, you've got a decent enough glove box, and then this centre console area is quite open. It makes the cabin feel quite airy. You've got a pair of USB Type-C ports up at the front, space for your phone, which has a wireless charging slot down here, a pair of cup holders, which are actually a reasonable size, and then in the centre, you've got a lidded storage compartment, which is actually reasonably big, and you can hide things in that. The driver's seat gets a nice armrest, which is the perfect height and matches up beautifully with the door card, which is nice and padded. Material quality up here is pretty good. The top of the door card is quite a hard plastic, but the fact it's textured means it doesn't look particularly cheap. There's also a Veskin strap on the dashboard, and you've got this fabric strap at the bottom of what is essentially a 2-spoke steering wheel. I've got a range of different buttons on here. They're all large, easy to press and accessible. Nice rotary controller on one side to interact with the infotainment system. I do also have a heads-up display and that panoramic roof that I mentioned earlier, so this is a pretty well-equipped car. Let's see what it's like to drive. Right, well, we are driving the Aceman, and there are 3 drivetrains available in the Aceman. You start with the E, then you have the SE, and then you get at the top the John Cooper Works, a full electric John Cooper Worksification of a model. I'm in the SE, which is the middle of the three, and that means I get a little bit more power than the base model. I've got 218 horsepower under my right foot and 330 Newton meters of torque. That's enough to take me from 0 to 62 in 7.1 seconds, which is actually pretty respectable. The Aceman E comes with a 42.5 kilowatt-hour battery, 184 horsepower and 290 Newton meters of torque, and will go 192 miles WLTP between charges. If you step up to the Aceman SE, as we have here, you get the previously mentioned power and torque boost, plus a larger battery at 54.2 kilowatt hours, and subsequently a longer range, up to 252 miles WLTP. In terms of driving feel, it feels a little bit like a Mini. Surprised that. So my throttle and brake inputs are nice and sharp. The steering is reasonably direct, if not a little bit numb because it's an electric vehicle, but actually, as driving experiences go, pretty reasonable. If you put your foot down, you will find that you get a little bit of a noise because you've got the various different Mini experiences accessible through this toggle down here. Leaving it in core gives you their blend of classic Mini fun, and to be honest, I must say, it does feel like a little bit of Mini fun. This drives quite nicely. It's pretty quiet in here, and it feels very compliant on the road, very comfortable despite those large alloy wheels, and actually, as a whole package, this seems pretty good. I've got a range of driver assistance technology. Mini allow you to specify as much or as little as you'd like, depending on which of their three options packs you choose. This is the 2, so I've got various degrees of adaptive cruise control, but it won't do full kind of stop-start traffic for me. For that, you need to go for the 3. The Aceman starts at £31,000 and goes all the way up to, well, in this case, £41,600, because this has got a decent enough spec list with it. What they have done, though, with the Aceman is they've priced it very keenly in comparison to the Mini hatchback. So if you're looking at the electric hatchback, to get yourself into an Aceman, you're only going to have to spend £1,800 more, or the equivalent of about £50 a month on the current financing deals. So that means if you're after something that's electric and a Mini, but you want more space than is offered by the hatch, this is a really good buy, because you get way more space and practicality than you get in the little hatchback, but you don't have to step up to the cost and size that comes with the Countryman. You also get a better driving experience than the Countryman in this because it's slightly smaller and lighter, and I think actually it's a really good package. Mini have got some of those critical elements really right, so all of the controls are quite easy to use and work with. This infotainment screen, I've said before, I'll say it again, is great. You've got things like the Harman Kardon stereo, and all of your touch points in the cabin are lovely too. I think, therefore, it's a pretty good all-rounder. Let's go and conclude. So, the Aceman, as a whole, what's it like? Well, if you like Minis and you want to keep that Mini DNA, but you want a little bit more practicality than you get from the hatch, this is the logical choice. It's not as big as the Countryman, but you still get what you need, and you've still got those Mini characteristics that you know and love. That's everything for today's video, so thank you so much for watching. Please check out all of our links in the video description. Our social media is down there, as well as a link to our spread shop where you can buy yourself some lovely merchandise. You can also become a channel member directly here on YouTube if you'd like to support us on a monthly basis. So, other than that, I will see you in the next one. Bye!